Welcome back to my channel, guys. Today we'll be drafting a two-piece collar directly on your fabric, no pattern needed. So let's go over this quick paper illustration so you understand what I mean. So this is what we are trying to achieve, and this is the collar fall and this is the collar stand separately. Okay, so when joined together we're going to have this, and it's going to be a height of 3 inches. So the collar is going to be height 3 inches, the collar fall is 2 inches, and the collar stand is 1 inch. So when you join them together, it's going to be 3 inches. Okay, so the collar is going to be 3 inches by height. All right, so let's get started. So this is my fabric, and I folded it into two like this. So it's folded into two like this. So here is unfold. So for illustration purpose, I'm going to show you how to measure your collar for your collar. So by this time, before attaching your collar, you would have joined your shoulders and everything. Your shirt is supposed to be ready, so you're just going to measure where you want to attach the collar. So now I'm going to be measuring a shirt of mine that I have, just for illustration, just to illustrate what I mean for this tutorial. So I'm going to measure where I'm supposed to attach the collar, not the collar itself, just your round neck. So I have exactly 19 inches. Now I'm going to, because my fabric is unfold, I'm going to divide this 19 inches by 2. So 19 inches divided by 2, if you have your tape, you don't have your calculator, you can do what I'm doing. You're just going to fold your tape to meet the 19 inches. Okay, so you divide it like this. So what I have is 9.5 inches, that is 9.5. Now I'm going to impute my measurement, that is the 9.5 I have. Remember, my material or my fabric is folded into two. So from that from this point, which is unfold, I'm going to mark my 9.5 inch, and then you should be sure that your collar is on a straight line here. But I'm just going to draw a straight line so that it's going to be our starting point, so that you understand what I'm doing very well. So let's take this as my starting point, this chalked area. So I'm going to now mark out the 9.5 that we got for our collar. This is a 9.5, and then I'm just going to draw a straight line just to, the 9.5 that I marked. Now we are doing the collar stand first. Okay, this is the collar stand we are doing, and remember I told you that the height is going to be 1 inch. Okay, but I'm going to add 1 inch seam allowance, that is for joining the up and joining the down. So ½ inch for the up and ½ inch for the down, which will give me 1 inch. Okay, but first I'm going to get the midpoint of this place that I marked. All right, now I'm going to get the midpoint of 9.5 that we measured. So I'm going to just mark my tape like this, and the half of 9.5 is about 5.2, right? 5.25. So I'm going to just place it like this and mark out the midpoint. Now here is the midpoint. All right, the middle of the 9.5 that we marked initially. Now remember that our collar is 9.5, but I'm going to be adding ½ inch to it for joining allowance, that is for seam allowance. All right, I should have done that earlier, but I'm just going to add it now. So I'm going to add ½ inch to make it 10 inches. What we got for our round neck is 9.5 plus ½ inch seam allowance, making it 10. So I just marked the ½ inch seam allowance right now. So I have 10. So just note that whatever you get from measuring your collar, you're going to add ½ inch to it for the seam allowance. Okay, now on this end I'm going to mark ½ inch. Okay, ½ inch there, that's ½ inch up. from my starting point. Then I'm going to connect it to the midpoint that we already marked there. Just connect it with a curve slightly. Now I'm using my freehand because I can actually draw a straight line or straight curve. If you can use your ruler or your French curve. Now we're going to draw out the height of our collar stand, which is 2 inches. You know, I told you it's 1 inch, then plus 1 inch seam allowance, that is 2. I'm going to follow this line because it's my new line from that midpoint. Okay, from the midpoint to the end of the collar, I'm going to follow that line to mark my 2 inches, just to create that slant. All right, so here is what it's like. Now I'm going to join the marked lines to create this slight curve. All right, so the next thing now is to make a curve on the tip here. Okay, this is optional, but it just gives your collar this fancy look. You may have seen it. In fact, that's how most collar look like. Yeah, it's just for fancy. So I initially marked it on the main 9.5. Then I remember that the other line there was the line we added for our seam allowance, so I made a new curve right there. All right, so that is how it's supposed to be. Then I'm going to cut this off. So watch what I'm doing so that you know what I'm cutting. So this is a very easy beginners friendly way of drafting your 2-piece collar directly on your fabric. You don't need a pattern paper or whatnot. Just draft it directly on the fabric and it's going to look so nice. Now I'm going to cut out the collar stand. Okay, remember that this is the collar stand. You should know the difference. This is the collar stand and the other one that stays on top of it is the collar fall. All right, as the name implies. So now we have cut it and we have one of these. We are going to be cutting another of this because we need 2 pieces, but I'm just going to set it aside and then cut the collar fall. Then afterwards we'll cut the remaining 1 piece each for the collar stand and the collar fall. All right, now I'm going to cut the collar fall. So I'm going to just mark a straight line like I did for the collar stands as our starting point. Okay, so this straight line is our starting point. And you know, I told you, all right, first I'm going to mark the 10 inches, the same 10 inches we marked. That is 9.5 inch, which is our initial collar measurement, plus ½ inch seam allowance. That is 10 inches. Now our collar fall is going to be 2 inches by height. Then I'm going to be adding 1 inch to it to make it 3 inches. All right, so I'm marking the 3 inches on a straight line. Remember, 1 inch is for seam allowance for the upper side and the downside. So I marked the 3 inches on a straight line. I connected it. The next thing I'm going to do is come on this side. I'm going to mark 1 inch inward to create that slant that you usually see on our collar. So I'm going to join it from the tip down to the 1 inch that I marked. Okay, we've seen the slant. So then on this folded area, I'm going to mark ½ of an inch, just ½ of an inch, and then I'm going to blend it to the collar. Just blend it slightly. Okay, this is just freehand method. Just blend it slightly like so to the collar, to the line there. So this is how it's supposed to be actually. So that's all for the colorful. It's nothing, there's really nothing much into it. Now I'm going to cut it off. Okay, now I have my color 4 ready, and it's one piece. Remember I told you we are going to be cutting out one more piece for each of them, because we need 2 pieces for each of them. So here is a color 4 and here is a color stand, and here this is what it's going to look like when we're done. So let's cut out one more piece each for the colorful and then the color stand. So you're going to place it well. You cut exactly what you have. Make sure that the folded end is also folded. Just cut exactly what you have. Okay, now I'm done. I've cut exactly the same piece for each the colors for understand. Now I'm going to join but first I'm going to mark the back with the chalk so that I know which is the back and the front. All right, so what I'm going to do now is to notch the center of my collar fall. Right, I'm going to notch the center like this and notch the center. Then for my collar stand, I'm going to also do the same thing. I will notch the center, the up side and also the down side. So I'm notching both sides of the center of my collar stand. That is the middle. Notch your middle. Okay, so it's ready for joining. I'm going to just place my collar 4. I'm going to be joining the collar 4 first. Place the collar 4 front facing front. So I'll just join the collar 4 first. So front facing front like this. Front facing front. Okay, then I'm going to join with half of an inch. I'm going to join with half of an inch. I'm going to join the sides and then the top part. Yes, I'm going to join the sides with half of an inch, the top side and the other side. We're going to leave the down part open. Okay, the down part is going to be open because we'll be joining the collar stand there. All right, so let me go to my sewing machine and join the collar fall first. All right, let me join the collar fall first and I'll show you what next to do. Now I've joined the collar fall, like I said, with half of an inch, the size and the top. If you can see my stitches, then I left the down part open. All right, then what I'm going to do now, I'm going to cut off this sharp edge here so that it's not going to be bulky when I turn it over, because I'll be turning it over. And remember that you can add your collar stay before joining. That is if you'll be adding collar stay on your collar, but for the purpose of this tutorial I won't be adding collar stay, especially because this fabric is thick, so I don't need a collar stay. But if you want a collar stay or you need it for your collar, you can go ahead and add your collar stay or your paper stay or whatever that will make it stiff. So I'm going to turn my collar over like this. Make sure I use my scissors to bring out the sharp edges very well. You can also trim the sharp edges if they are really bulky, so that your collar would lay flat on the edges. Now I've turned it over, I'm going to press it so that it lays really flat. So I've done just that. I ironed it, I pressed it, and it looks flat now. And the next thing I'm going to do is to attach the collar stand on it. Okay, now watch what I'm doing. So I'm going to match the notches together. Okay, remember, front facing front. So I'm going to place the collar stand like this and make sure I'm matching the notches. All right, I'll go again. So here is the collar fall. So you're going to flip the collar stand like this. Make sure that the front is facing the front of the collar fall. Then this again. Place it like so. Make sure the notches are matching. That is why it's important to notch. Okay, so that as long as the center, the notches match, then you don't have a problem. Make sure the notches match, then you can go ahead and align the collar. Just align everything, make sure, because it's quite tricky because of the curves and all of that. But once you batch the notches, and then you can actually use your pins and align them, put them in place, then you will now join them like this with half of an inch. All right, so you can go ahead and use your pin and match the collars together, or you can just arrange them while you sew. So you're going to join it with half of an inch. I'm going to go over and sew it now. So I've done that, I've done the sewing, as you can see. my stitches. I sewed by half of an inch all the way to the other side, and I made sure that my seams, everything matched. All right, so now look at my notch, it matched. So if your notches match, then you don't have a problem. On my seams, everything it matched. So now I'm going to turn my collar stand over. You can go ahead and trim the edges if they are bulky. So I'll turn it over like this. All right. See how nice it looks. I'm going to go ahead and press it flat so that it just lays down flat. See how nice it's looking already. So it's quite easy to make. This is how it's going to sit on your neck after you must have joined. But let me go ahead and just press it so that it lays really flat. So I'm done with the pressing. Look how nice it looks. So you can go ahead and fix it to your shirts now. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.